to Stitches and Sundries, Knitting, Crochet, and Spinning.
Fibery,
yarny. Episode 2.
We did it.
We did it, yes. So, I'm Devyn.
And I'm Lauren.
And we'll link everything below. We're going to try not to say that 100 times.
Yeah.
But everything we talk about is going to be linked right below. So check out our show notes because they're awesome. I work really hard on those guys. So we're here to talk. I have knitting finishes.
Mm-hmm. I don't have any finishes. I'm never going to finish anything.
You're working on a blanket. It takes 100 years.
I'm working on a blanket. It takes 100 years. But I've got some whips. I got a whip and some stuff coming up.
Yeah.
So we'll be talking about that. So you knit, I crochet. You do a little crochet here and there.
I do crochet, yes.
And you spin and...
I just learned spinning, so...
And, we try everything. So
yeah, we sort of... I buy kits. I buy a lot of kits of, like, oh, here's this weird, cool thing. Like,
You very nearly got into primitive embroidery this weekend.
Oh my gosh, I was so tempted. I was so tempted by this kit we saw at a shop, and I was like, I've got to figure out spinning before I take on anything new, because I have maybe 3 bags full of alpaca wool.
Yeah. But
taking it slow,
but trying a little bit of everything.
Yeah. But I have some finishes to show. I've shown this in our last episode. Ready for finishes?
I don't think you did, actually.
Maybe I didn't show this one.
This one you've been working on for a little while.
Yes.
Yes. We can talk about some finishes and talk about some yarn.
I started this in June. This is, let me get it all out here in gloriousness.
Yeah, just unfold it in half.
I'm only going to unfold it in half because, there's a thread on it.
Oh, God. It's in my house. You're going to get dog hair and ends. Sorry. So
this is a scarf, and it's folded in half, as you can see, just because the length,
Yeah, your boyfriend's too tall.
Yes, this is, it's called Piet by Cecilia Compochiaro, and Compochiaro. I'm butchering the name. I'm really sorry. Oops. But her pattern is wonderful. It is, at first I hated it. I will be honest. At first I was like, what is this? But it is a pretty much 2-row repeat. You need 2 color yarns, 2 different colors. I used barber pole yarns. They're by Loop Yarn Studio, and they're called Once and For All. And one is primarily light blue, and the other one is primarily black with a little blue. And so you do 2-row repeat, alternating the yarns every 2 rows, and it creates a really nice, seems like a sort of waffly texture to me.
Oh yeah, the texture of this is fantastic.
And it has, what I love about it is, when you hold this up, it has great lines. Like, look at those lines.
Yeah, it looks very...
So, my boyfriend is 6'2", something like that. He's very tall.
Yeah, he's like 6'3".
So,
quite a big guy.
These lines will, and he is rather large, so these lines will help smooth out some of his frame. It'll look really nice and polished with his jacket. He has a nice black
this looks
jacket.
this looks like a professional, like, we'll put the picture that Cecilia uses
we'll put the pattern up.
In her pattern, and the guy just looks put together.
Yes.
It's a very classy pattern.
Yes.
Simple, but like the effect you get is, this might have been something they paid a lot of money for.
Yeah.
Like that, if a guy's wearing this scarf, it's like, that might be something expensive.
Yeah, and so this scarf took a long time because, like I said, I started it in June. It was probably middle of June that I started it. I did have to go to like 7 feet. I thought 6 would be enough. 6 feet would be fine for me.
Yeah, I'd be touching your toes.
But folding it in half, I kept having him try it on, and so I showed him like 2 different ways to wear the scarf. So I'm going to take what I'm wearing off, and I'll demonstrate. So
we don't demonstrate on me because my earrings will get tangled in it.
I have short little earrings on today, so I showed him this way because this is
the classic,
a way that a lot of people wear their
keep your neck warm.
They're long scarves, and you can just kind of fiddle with these until you get them like straight, and you have that nice polished look under your jacket, which I really love. You can scrunch this up, keep it straight, whatever. or the classic way, which
and for you, that's reaching down to like her.
Oh my gosh, it's below my waist.
For him, it's like it would have been 6 feet.
It was like up here on him. It was like so high up on his chest, and so I showed him the 2 ways, and he decided that he will probably wear his scarf mainly just like this.
Yeah,
just
the way every guy wears their scarf.
And so to get the length that I needed, I did have to go to 7 feet. I could have gone longer because I did have a little yarn left over. I wasn't sure how much yarn I actually used because I have used this yarn in another small project. So
I'm going to touch your boob
and
get a hair off it.
It's fine. The hair, because it's been blocked, that once I shake it a little, the hair will actually
just come right out.
Come right off. But yeah, so this was a...
And that
Excuse
blue,
my hair.
That blue is showing up really nicely on the camera. This blue is really great, but the black tones it down.
Yeah, like it looks electric on camera, and it's sort of that, but the black does kind of pop in to help tone it.
It's a very masculine pattern. It's a very masculine color choice. And that's a little hard with knitwear. We've talked about that before. But he's going to get a lot of wear out of it. And she's like, I may eventually knit him another scarf.
Oh,
he doesn't, if
the
he deserves
whole time I made this, I'm like, is it long enough? And he's like, no. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm never knitting for you again.
But he probably won't need another one because this is like going to hold up.
This is really nice, yeah. And you'll notice, let's hold those edges up, Lauren. My edges are nice and matchy. So this scarf does have you do a provisional cast on, which was really nice. If you want to fold that up.
If you want to just handle that for me.
Yeah. So the provisional cast on lets you get matching edges. So my edges match perfectly. I fumbled the provisional cast on a little bit. Not gonna lie, but I didn't drop any stitches. I did something so that when I pulled my crochet, it wasn't coming out because I did the crochet provisional. And I was pulling on it and I couldn't get it to actually undo. And I tried both ends because I couldn't remember which one was the start end. And neither one was really coming out, but I literally had to unwind it through the knitting, which is not normal. I did something wrong, but I was able to just pick up my live stitches and go and get it to match, and it looks great.
It does look great. It looks like, and we always say it's like a huge compliment when something looks like you could have bought it in a store, and this looks like you could have bought it in like a nice store.
Yeah, it looks really nice. I'm excited about that one.
That one back, and it's terrible fold that I just threw
down. Oh, it's fine. It's whatever. So I guess I'll talk about the one I'm about to put on, just because I'm wearing it.
Oh,
so
yes.
This one is Camp Wilkerson. And I did not finish this recently. It is really from this year. This is by Caitlin Hunter. And I had this set of yarn. Lauren had got me for a gift. Yeah. And it was DK Way.
This was the inspiration.
I loved this color. We went to Frederick Fiber Fest. I loved this color. And I just was looking for a pattern that would show it off really well. And I love how this looks. And I love this teal section too.
Yeah, the teal is like...
Yeah. So this is Camp Wilkerson by Caitlin Hunter. It was a fast knit because it was DK. I really enjoyed it. And this is my first time getting to wear it because it has been so hot since I finished it. But it is finally cool enough. And I just wear it over my shoulders like this. Like, I don't like things tight on my neck. And so when you try to do like anything like this, it's too much on my neck. So,
but like laying it like this, you get to see all the joints. Yeah, really nice.
And that's how that's one of the couple model pictures have it kind of just draped over your shoulders like this, and I like it. It's comfortable.
It's very pretty.
And then I have one more
finish.
Yeah. So this is an exciting finish. I also didn't share this last podcast.
Because you just like whipped it up in a weekend.
I whipped it up in a weekend. So
this is gorgeous.
I'll hold it up
I don't wear cowls and scarves, and I would wear this in a heartbeat.
So this is just a little cowl, and it's a little damp because it's not quite dry. 1 skein of DK. And I used stash yarn. I had gone to Frederick Fiber Fest a couple years ago and picked up Ridiculous yarns. That's Fright Fest is the colorway, and the weight or base, is Joker DK, which has merino, cashmere, nylon. I did check her website. Unfortunately, she doesn't have any right now. But you guys should totally watch her shop because she has some really nice yarn, and it is very soft.
And we actually got to go to, we went to Baltimore this weekend and went to Lovely Yarns.
Yes.
And she's like kind of the epicenter of ridiculous yarns.
She was one of the first shops to carry ridiculous yarns.
She kind of got her started.
Kind of got her started as being a wholesaler.
It was super interesting to talk to her and shop her wonderful selection. Yes. But yeah, she's like, oh my gosh, ridiculous yarns.
Yeah, and I was like, I just finished something with her yarn. So I didn't talk about this pattern. This pattern is actually a test knit. This super cute. Is called the Macy Cow, and it is by Haley Geary of Lock Knits. She is also one half of the Woolies podcast, and I love them. They're based out of Pittsburgh, which is really awesome. It's very close to us.
All us local crafters have to stick together.
Yes. So she put out a call, and I'm like, I have never tested anything before, but let me jump on this train. So I was really excited that I was in the selection of testers, and this is due August 30th, I believe is when, or a little bit before that for the testers, but she's releasing the pattern, I believe, August 30th. And it is really awesome because, so it seems like a simple cow, right? But she has done the work for you to design a pattern that it is a cow, and she has figured out the yardage and for every weight of yarn to make this.
Oh,
and that is what's nice about it. So my DK, I did one skein, and it was perfect. I have no leftovers, which I love not having leftovers.
Yeah, you hate scraps.
It's not that I hate them, but I hate having so much that it's like, it's too much to discard, but it's not quite enough for a whole nother project. Like, I like it when I have enough left over to do like maybe a hat or something, but I hate it when you get like just that awkward leftovers.
The kind that people use for like scrappy blankets. Yes. That's just enough. You know, they're like, it's just enough. I'll get a row or two. And then
and my problem is I don't have enough of it to even think about starting a scrappy blanket yet.
Because you desperately try and get rid of it. The moment you're like, I have stuff, you're like, I'm going to do a wall hanging. I'm going to do other things to get rid of this instead of like hoarding it for a year. And then you've got lots of scrappy ends.
I have 2 bedrooms in the house that I have, so I don't have a lot of space.
That's true. You don't have a space for hoards.
I don't have a space for hoards. I'm using a baby changing table, an old wooden. It's not my baby changing table, but I bought it at a thrift store, and it is my yarn rack, and I love it. But I use it to kind of keep myself in control, so it can only hold so much. And earlier this year is getting really out of control, but I finished a lot of stuff, so I put a dent in it.
I recently, this is not, it's now come Thrift with me video, I don't know. When we went to Christian Crossings is a local thrift store around here. They're church-based, but all their proceeds go to feeding people and meal services, and also if whenever somebody loses a house to like a fire or something, they provide clothes and everything you could ever want for those people to get back on their feet. So they're really great. Like, if you're going to support a thrift store, they're an awesome one to support over like your Goodwills and your stuff like that. So we're really lucky to have that. And they had a tea cart, a wooden tea cart. I'm thinking that might end up replacing end table in my house, or actually becoming like my craft cart that I can wheel my craft cart around.
You're so cute.
But yeah, your baby changing station reminded me of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, you want to keep your hoard space for your stash. You don't want to keep hoard space for not junk yarns. For leftovers.
Snacks, but the point that I'm trying to make is this little test knit was awesome.
It's very pretty.
I loved the project. It was really good to sit and knit. It is just knit, and it's in the round. And you do Kitchener together, which I have done Kitchener before on 2 flat pieces. This was my first time Kitchener in the round. And I can see my seam. I definitely have some stuff to work on.
I can't.
But A little bit. My end popped out because it's wet.
So that's your warning sign, is that there's the seam because the end popped out, but like,
yeah, I mean,
you can't see it otherwise.
Maybe right there. I think you can
a little bit because the variegation in the yarn comes together. But if you were doing a solid color, you would not see that, or even something that was. And on
this
routine.
side, because it's a seam all the way around. On this side, you can't see it.
No,
so
not at all.
I just took that into the middle, and it's fine. And that's my knitting.
Yeah.
That the seaming just needs improvement. But this was my second time doing Kitchener, and she did ask if we'd had experience, and I told her, I've done it once. So I was really excited to have an opportunity to do a test knit, and I loved it. Getting in on those kind of projects is super fun, and now you get this super cute. I love cowls, especially like I don't like anything that sits tight on my neck, but you can see that this is not tight, and if I get my hair out of the way, there'd be a lot more room in here. Yeah, but
very cute, and the color choice I think was primo.
Oh yeah. I had no idea that this yarn would stripe like this.
It's such a, it is an eye catcher.
Yeah.
It's an eye catcher in that yarn.
It's so pretty. So that's my test knit finish. And then I have one more finish. So
this is so cool.
I am a spinner. So this, I will undo this so I don't know if there's a point to this, but yeah, whatever. You guys can see my little, I just started spinning. I am meeting with a woman named Nancy. She's in California. We meet once a week. And I bought a little spindle off of Amazon. I thought I'd start there because I don't know if this is something I'm really going to stick with. But as I think I talked about this maybe in the last episode, that I was gifted wool. And so I have been working on washing and carding.
Look at that. I mean,
but
that's pretty damn good.
Yeah, so I'm doing, I'm not dropping the spindle yet. I'm a beginner, so I'm still just like turning by hand. I really enjoy it. It is a really relaxing.
It's kind of just meditative, like you're just spinning and spinning.
Yeah, and the fiber I'm using is the alpaca. So it's just a white alpaca. A friend of mine raises 2, now 3, they had a baby. And they just are hobby alpaca farmers, and they love them, so they don't do anything with the wool. So when they were getting ready to share this year, I told them, I'm like, if you guys don't have a home for this, I will be the home because I want to learn this. So then they surprised me. I didn't think they were going to give me the whole fleeces. Honestly, I thought that they had mentioned that somebody in Florida gets some of their fleeces, like a family member or something. But then they gave my boyfriend, because he actually works for them sometimes, 3 bags of full alpaca wool. So here I am learning to spin, and so this
is your first little.
This is my first little hank. I don't know yardage or anything, and I'm very inconsistent with my spins. Like some's overspun, some's underspun, but I am learning how to make corrections to the spin so that it will be more consistent. And I think, just looking at my spindle, that this is looking a lot more consistent compared to some of the strands you can see in here are thick and thin, which you will have that, I understand.
Yeah,
but mine is really
doesn't look anything like.
Yeah. And Nancy has been so wonderful with her teaching. She's not charging me to do this. We just get together. We use we've been using Skype, and we just talk about if I have any questions, and she walks me through all the steps of how to do the different spinning technique, I guess. And okay, so I fill up my spindle, what do I do next? So she walked me through how to get this off the spindle and into a skein and soak it for the first time and everything like that. So it's been a lot of fun.
The 78-step process of cleaning alpaca wool.
When you buy raw fleece, when we were at Lovely, you saw those nice dye
all the beautiful roving and everything.
That is already processed. Carding is done for you. Right. Dyeing is done for you. This is raw fleece.
When you just get it straight from the animal.
Yeah, you have to wash it because alpacas are dusty. They like to roll around in the dust.
Yeah. So. And while an amount of farm smell is expected, you don't want people to go, oh, is this a barn or are you spinning?
Yeah. And so like what I do to wash it is it takes 4 rinses. You use really hot water, but you want to keep the temperature the same. And no agitation. I just soak it in a bowl. I have a big mixing bowl that I'm using. And I'm only doing a small amount because I'm not fast at the processing part. So I'm not rushing to get it all done. So every little bit is just like, oh, I'm doing this process today. So I soak it in a bowl. I also have limited drying space. Soak it, no agitation. When you get it out, you just kind of like squeeze the water out like this. Like you don't want to do this. If you wring it, you're gonna cause felting, agitation. You don't want to do that. So you just press the water out a little bit, and then lay flat to dry in a place that has really good aeration and flow. So then you have to card it, and that was fun to learn how to do that. I use dog brushes. Nancy told me, she's like, listen, the carding brushes are bigger so you can get more done. But just starting out, don't dive into like all of the expensive parts of spinning.
That is really nice. And she's kind of walking you through that. Yeah,
because
I've seen everybody.
Yeah, I've seen everybody like is spending $100 on those carders, and I know, I mean, that's probably a lowballing price, honestly. Some of them are pretty expensive because they're super fancy and they're made out of special wood, and the bristles won't bend, and you know, whatever. And I understand that there is a point where I may get there, but for me to start out, I don't need to go in the high cost of spinning, and I loved that. So here I am spinning.
Yeah, because you might decide, and I have no idea what your feelings are on this, but you might get through the entire alpaca that you've gotten and been like, I've done it. I enjoyed the process.
That's it.
But maybe I don't need to get another whole alpaca, right?
Yeah.
Like I'll have the stuff if I ever want to pick it up again, but this might not be something I in bulk do.
Yeah.
And so to have spent $600 on something that you only pick up every once in a while.
Or more if I bought a wheel, because that was the other thing. Wheels are. Nancy did say, like, she was really impressed with how quickly I've picked up spinning, and I was like, oh, that's exciting.
You're a quick learner, though.
So, she said I could get a wheel anytime with my skill level, and I'm like, oh, but I'm not ready for a wheel. I want to learn how to actually drop the spindle and try that process.
Just keep moving up the ladder.
Yeah. And wheels are hard to find at an affordable budget for me. Because knitting is my main hobby and I want to continue with knitting. So I'm not sure I'm ready to dive all hands on deck into spinning. But I really enjoyed working through this alpaca wool, and I hope I'll have more to show you guys in the future. Yes. But now we can move on to the next segment of our little show here. We have whips.
We have whips.
Do you have whips?
I have one. So I talked about this one last time. But I have an update to the progress, but I also have an update to a solution that so if you remember, I was talking about how much I was struggling with, so I'm doing a crochet thread doily, but I'm going to be making it into a pin/earring hanger. I'm going to put it in the big quilter's embroidery hoop, so it'll be really quite large. But I was struggling with the crochet thread, and everybody that I checked forums trying to find things, and they're like, it is the nature of the thread. Like as it comes off the spool, it naturally wants to spin up. It wants to kink up really bad. And so you have to stop and drop your work and let it unspin as you work. And people find, there are yarn pets, and people make crazy solutions and use paper towel rolls and toilet paper holders like that they get on a stand right next to their
That's a good idea.
It's smart. It definitely would do the thing.
But what did you find?
So I found this on our trip. We stopped to Frederick and Baltimore. In Frederick, there is a shop called Primitive Homespun Wool and Needle Arts.
That was an adorable shop.
It's
That's where the kit we talked about earlier.
Yeah, the felted embroidery kit.
And I was like, let's get that.
She does wool.
It's like wool applique.
Wool applique embroidery. And it's beautiful and amazing. She does all kinds of kits and designs and stuff. She does rug making. She had lots of woolly goodness around beautiful
rug
fabrics.
hooking.
Rug hooking.
That's the thing.
And she was also the friendliest lady on the earth.
Oh,
but
yes.
she had some really awesome notions that you see around, but hers were all handmade. So she had the wooden crochet hooks that were all handmade. She had some beautiful things, but she also had clay yarn bowls. But they were for thread. So hang on. Look how perfect it fits.
That's cute.
So, as you can see, there are 3 things here. So supposedly you can get the little tiny balls of yarn and it can just bobble around in there. But my crochet thread fits perfectly. And you can kind of see here, and see where that is? Because that's where I just kind of like unspun and then rewound. It comes out perfectly. It forces the ball to spin instead of come off the top.
So your work doesn't have to spin.
So my work does not have to spin as much. It still every once in a while, but before I was spinning every quarter to half of a row. I would have to stop and unspin. That's annoying. And now I can probably get 2 rows in before I have to stop and unspin. Yeah. It was constant. So if this was a brand new work, I'd thread it through the hole, and that would probably even eliminate more. But because it's not brand new, it's going through one of these little edges, and it kind of every once in a while pop out and have to fight it a little bit. But it is solving the problem, and I'm so happy.
That's nice.
I'm so happy.
And I like that color.
I know, it was so pretty. And this was handmade in Frederick. These are all handmade for her by a local artisan. And her husband owns a primitive decor store as well. Yeah. And they have a very wonderful handmade, not quality, like philosophy. Like they do so much. Even all the furniture in their store is like handmade by her dad.
Oh yeah, her dad made all of her display cases.
Yeah. So she's also super crazy lucky and awesome.
Let's see that. That looks looking so good.
Let me pull a loop up here so it doesn't unwind.
Ooh, that was the opposite pull.
Alrighty. So the last time I showed this, I was working down here behind these petals. I was down here behind these petals. And now I have finally finished the 3D-ness. I need to, blocking will help a little bit with getting these petals to stand out properly. Yeah. They want to curl in on themselves right now. But now I'm up into, and I've started right here on these fans, and here's where I am currently. I am extending my fans, which, hang on, you hold that. Yeah. This is probably one night of work, not too much, because if you watch our cross stitch podcast, which is here somewhere in the corner, I don't know, somewhere, link below, I am working on a gift for a friend for their wedding. And so it's unfortunately, everything has taken a backseat to that gift because they get married on Halloween and I need to get it finished off to a framer, back, and then out to them by Halloween. And I'm a little anxious.
You got a tight timeline.
I'm a little anxious about that. It's maybe getting more anxious the closer we get to it.
But this is looking really awesome.
But yeah, this is looking really awesome. I think I have
forever to go on it.
It has 75 rows, and I'm to row 26.
Yeah, you have a while.
I've got 2 times more of this to go, but I'm in an easy section. I'll build length really quickly because now we're doing this.
It looks awesome.
Kind of like structural lace work here.
I love that, and it almost looks like little hearts in there.
If I put it over my black t-shirt, you can see it a little better.
Yeah. It almost looks like little hearts.
So these fans will all become tulips at the end. They'll come around and have a tulip. And yeah, I'm building it up really quickly when I get time to work on it, which we always think we're going to have more time than we really do in the world. Yeah. But look, this would normally be spinning itself to death by now. And it's like got like maybe half a spin.
A little twist. And like if I poke it, maybe.
If you poke it, you can make it happen, but it's not like the super
like before it was
tight.
kinking up really bad, and it stops you from being able to even work on it.
Yeah. So
that's awesome. Nice. So did you say the pattern?
Oh, the pattern is Tulips by Tamaraganza. It is free on Ravelry right now.
Oh, can you send me that so I can link it below?
Oh yeah. And she is a Russian designer, and she has her tutorial is fantastic. It has a picture every step of the way of what it should look like. She charted it out so you can see what it should look like, all the charted symbols.
It's amazing better that way. That is even free.
It is pretty amazing that it's free. I don't know what
like prompted that.
What prompted that, but like also like what so she had to get it translated too. So she's a really awesome designer that put that out there for free.
Lauren, you're doing such a great job on that.
Oh,
it looks so great.
Thank you. And I'm doing it in Clark's number 10 crochet thread that I just had. I am the queen of digging into my very limited stash, but I always find something that I've like been gifted or found somewhere. Yeah. I also hunt. My aunt hunts yard sales for me. That's less effective because she just buys anything that looks remotely like yarn. I hunt flea markets, thrift stores, that kind of stuff. And find stuff. You sometimes in bulk, like I did a couple years ago, find all these Clarks in antique colors, just like a box of them. So I have a box of them because I do like doing thread work.
Doilies are like one of your favorites.
I really like it. I don't know if doilies are dumb, but I love them.
No, they're not dumb. I think they're beautiful. And like you also do really cool things with them. You're not just making like the table setting doily. You're making like these really awesome wall hanging.
So that's my stuff. Did you have any whips?
Yeah, I have one knitting whip because I did all my finishes. So
she's making progress. I'm not.
Look at this. This is Stephen West Exploration Station. And it has 4 yarns in it. I talked about on last episode. I'm just going to link them all below.
Yeah.
Love them all.
This is the front here?
This is the front.
Look at this pink.
This is the brioche section. So last time I showed it, I think I was, like maybe partially through the brioche. I finished it and I just started the sassy, I think he calls them sassy slips. So you're slip stitching in this section. And you'll have, what I'll get is columns of white and pink, or white and green. And then there's another section out after that that is stripes. And I'm doing mine differently because this green does not pair well with the gray. And that's what should have been in this section.
Yeah, the green and the gray.
Just together, right beside each other.
They're just doesn't, too similar.
They're too similar. So I'm doing green and some white scrap yarn. Stash yarn, not scrap yarn. And the next section I haven't even picked out the colors for. So I will have something, exciting to show you next time. But
how do you not pick out the? Well, it's got to be one of these.
It's got to be one of these. I'm not sure if I'm thinking about doing the gold, but I'm not sure.
Is that the end? Is that the end with the scallops?
No, the end with the scallops are definitely gold.
Yeah, they're definitely gold.
But I might stripe the gold in the section before that. I'm not sure.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
I think what I'm going to do is knit a little bit and see what I think of it. I had to pick out the sassy slips once or twice because I can't count.
Well,
I'm at like 289 stitches. I'm allowed to make mistakes.
I'm glad at this point you're admitting you're admitting that you need help.
Inability to count numbers, but whatever. So I had the right number of stitches when I ended brioche, and that was like a party because this is my second brioche project. I love it.
It's beautiful. It is beautiful.
And I gotta say, guys, I'm really happy with my edge here because it is, this shawl is not curling. I have tons of ends to weave in. I'm sorry, guys. But the edge is not curling under. It is pulling up a little bit, but that's just the needle doing it. But this edge has some good give in it. And I worked really hard following Steven's instructions in one of his videos to make sure I do these looser so they're not pulling too tight.
Yeah, you don't want that feeling of like when you buy a shirt and it's got the super tight waistband. Same problem everywhere when you put that solid, unmovable edge on it. And then it can't, everything gives but that one end. Yeah. So that's awesome that he provides such great tutorial videos and stuff for his... and it's
him instructing, which I love.
He's a pretty great
guy.
So
everybody's doing this everyone's done Stephen West shawls. If you haven't, like, you should totally do it. But I picked this one because I like the swoops up above or down below here. Sorry. Directions are hard too,
Directions, numbers, speaking English, time, distance.
Everything. Life is hard, guys. So I just love these little swoops, and that's what made me pick this shawl. And
I like the combination too of different, like the swoops have different textures to it, like the brioche and the slip stitches.
Yeah, this is all garter. So this is garter, and then
here,
the like
up here, because
the nice lace eyelet details here are nice. I like that. And then the squishy brioche. Brioche is probably my favorite stitch. I kind of really like it, and I know like I struggled to learn it because the first project I learned it on was a lacy brioche project, but once I figured out lifelines are your best friend, which I didn't use lifelines on this because I figured I've done lacy brioche. I don't need lifelines on straight brioche. It didn't bite me in the butt. It did not, because I did not have to pick out the brioche. Was there
fear?
There's a little fear, especially because like I don't have anything on the ends of the needles to keep stitches from falling off, and I travel. I throw it in a bag and it goes like all over with me. So there's always a chance, But I actually have picked up brioche dropped stitches. So I'm actually getting pretty good at brioche and
really
troubleshooting. Awesome. And I really like it. My next project is going to be, my next brioche project, which is not coming for a while, will be a brioche hat. I picked one out on Ravelry. I'm in love, and I just got to find the yarn for it. So, I love brioche.
Well, this is really coming along. You've made awesome progress since last time.
This is my front porch knitting. So every morning, my boyfriend and I, we get up at 6:30, and like little old people, we pack our little chairs outside, and we just set up shop on our front porch, and he plays on his phone, and I get my hour and a half to knit before work. And that's really nice. This is that's my front porch project. So we like live in like a very wooded, it's not really I guess it's a development area, yes. It's very, very informal, not enforced HOA, like super informal.
Yeah, it's you're woods people.
We're woodsy people, and so we get to like deer come in, wildlife.
You get to see the early morning stuff in the woods. Like
sorry
that's
for the
nice.
tinkle. But that is...
If I sat on my back porch, I'd just see tourists drunkenly working their way back to their rental houses. And we do have 3 baby deer living in our yard now. That is really cute. Yeah. Well, they're not always in our yard. There's a field right across from us that they sometimes migrate to, which scares the hell out of me because they cross a road. Oh, that's scary. But, yeah. They're adorable. We do live in a pretty great place.
Yeah. So...
Any other whips?
That's all of my whips. I just have a couple of, like, up next, one of my planning. So, sort of acquisition, but not all of it's acquisition. Some of it's stash. Yeah.
Well, I have a little bit of haul/plans I can go over while you kind of organize there. So I have been following for a while on Instagram, The Missing Yarn. And she's a crochet designer that I love a lot. And she's always promoting Inside Crochet Magazine because she gets her stuff featured in there quite a lot. And so I started following that, and it's just rabbit hole to finding a bunch of really awesome designers, and which I will link the magazine and the Missing Yarn below.
There's some really awesome patterns in that I've seen.
Finally,
I follow it too now.
And finally broke down and got a Inside Crochet is a UK based magazine, and they're hard to find in the US. We went to 5 yarn stores this weekend, and I didn't see it there in any of them. And subscribing to the paper magazine to come to my door is like $75 for half a year. Yeah. And so it's just not something I was willing to do. And I completely understand why other stores are not carrying it once I saw that rate. So I just subscribed to the Pocket Mag, the PDF. So on my phone, you can kind of see it there.
That's a really cute top on the cover.
And they do, one of the things I really like about them And one thing, we were talking about the difference between books and, of course, I am new to the world, not to the world of crochet, but to the world of like designer crochet and the like all the steps that you take to get somewhere. I don't know. So I'm just like, I don't know, I did a thing. Here I am, Devynn. And Devyn's like, did you research that out? Like I asked her about yarn today. She's like, I don't think you can use this yarn for what you think you can. And I'm like, oh, But one thing I really struggle with is seeing a pattern and knowing what it's going to look like. I'm not a super visual person, or I'm a super visual person. I'm not a super person that can visualize in their head. So I love seeing models wearing stuff, seeing it out there. So I know what it's going to look like. I want to do this sweater really, really badly. So I love seeing what it's going to look like, what it wears like, what it drapes like, what it, all that stuff. And when we were also going around, we looked at several crochet books that people had, and it's much more technical. Like you see a lot of, they'll have a couple pictures of people wearing it, but it's mostly describing a technique or giving the pattern. And I like this magazine, and I'm sure I would like other crochet magazines as I find them, that have more editorial, photos and blogs, or not blogs, articles and stuff like that to go through. So I am super happy with this, and I am really, really, really trying to decide between a couple of projects in this magazine. Really but cute. This sweater, I think, is coming up on my list pretty quickly. It is the Petal Lace Jumper by Lisa Cook. And really it was in issue 126, which I think was just the previous. They just released issue 127, so it was just last month's issue. So did you get that issue? I did. I have last month's and this month's issue now, and I'm subscribed for a year or whatever to the PDF magazines. And I have never done. I've not done much wearables at all. Garments, I've never done garments. So I am really looking forward to trying that. I'm really looking forward to playing around with what yarns to use and what things. And I have my expert here to help me. And I have my budget that I've blown out in the past month. We've got to stop traveling. Well, we are. I have my expert and my budget to get me where I need to go. Yeah. And and so that'll be a super fun thing that's coming up for me. Once things settle the hell down. Yeah. So what did you get on our yarny road trip? Well, first, I want to talk about something that's not from the yarny road trip. I want to show off this bag. That's a cool bag. You guys, I know next to nothing about this bag other than it's a fancy brand. It's Vera Bradley. Yeah, it's Vera Bradley. Which is very fancy brand for me. I got this bag on a yard sale for $15. So just so you know, if the fancy bags aren't, always in your budget, you should watch yard sales because are yard sales? So I wonder about. So I know they're a super big thing on the East Coast. There's definitely swap shops online and Facebook marketplace. Marketplace, and then there's I actually follow. I'm in a couple non-consumer sort of groups on Facebook, which is where people kind of post a thing they're getting rid of and see if anybody's interested in it. And most of the time there's not really a charge for it. Now I have seen some furniture move, but I haven't seen stuff like this go on, that kind of thing. I was just thinking so I know I have said, oh, we're having a yard sale to friends on the West Coast, and they're like, I don't know what that is. And it's not necessarily it's a East Coast cultural thing. Yeah, I mean, thrift stores would have stuff like this because people take their stuff to thrift. I just thought that was interesting. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Got you off track. You're fine. I thought that's pretty awesome. So in my bag of many things, I will show you what I picked up from Lovely Yarns, which is the shop we went to. One of the shops we went to this weekend. In Baltimore. And I got, I should hold the label up. This is called Lore. And it is 100% Kent lamb's wool. It's by the Fiber Co. It is an English West Yorkshire wool. It's from Romney sheep breed.
It's really, really nice. It is woolier wool. It's not the scratchiest.
No. But it's not the softest.
But it's not the softest. So, and I like that.
Yeah.
I am a rustic wool kind of person.
Yeah, it's rustic is the perfect definition.
Yes. So this is, Lauren's going to insert a picture here. There is going to be a forest path hat in my future.
Yes.
It is an adorable shawl, and I have to look up the name here. It is by Patricia Ann Fortune.
Patricia Ann Fortune. Her shawl is amazing. I love the little pine trees.
It's super cute. It has this lacy detail that is the pine trees. And it's just a green over the shoulders. I think it's triangular. And it's kind of big. And this is DK weight yarn that I'm going to use to make it. I'm really excited. That's my next. This is my selfish cast on. I finished the boyfriend scarf. Now it's time for Devyn.
Did some gift knits, and now it is time.
I'm ready for me. I have more.
Of course you do.
So I'm just really talking about like the next 3 upcoming projects. So the next project I have is...
Oh, this stuff I love.
Yeah. This is Malabrigo Rasta bulky base. It is in the colorway Cucumber. I freaking love it. And
it is such...
It's
feels
a fake.
It feels fake. And I don't mean that in a, like, it feels plasticky. It's like, this is not yarn. This is some magical floof that just looks like yarn.
Yes. And it's
a
giant floofy strand, and I love it. So I'm making the, it's called the Bruma hat by Crystal Neves. It's a really cute hat. Lots of people have knit it with this yarn. This yarn only has like 86 yards in it. I'm gonna put pom-pom on it. That's my pom-pom. So this yarn only has like 86 yards, and so I was looking for a one skein sort of project for it because I've actually only knit with Malabrigo one other time. So I'm just kind of trying to, use as much yarn as I can.
Yeah, try different brands, see how things, knit up and work, and so you don't know what your favorite thing is if you haven't tried everything, right?
Yeah. So I'm like literally trying to try it all. It's awesome. So this yarn I purchased at McWalker Yarns, which is in Pittsburgh, and I love, love, love her shop. And that pom-pom I've had in stash. It is
and cleaning.
A McPorter Farms pom-pom. I bought it from Frostburg Fiber Depot, which is the closest yarn shop to us.
Faux raccoon fur. One thing I love about this pom-pom is they attach
it has
with a snap.
I love the snap. So I've made 2 other hats that have this type of pom-pom on it with the snap attachment. And I really like the snap because I do wash my hats because, hello, head sweat is a real thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it is.
If your conditioner gets on it, if you wore hairspray that day, that gets on it. Yeah. It's just, obviously I have so much to talk about.
So much hairspray.
But like, if you, styled your hair one day, your hats and the hats are also next to skin, unlike shawls, which are over clothes. Hats need washed a little more.
Yeah. So I, when I wash my hats that have pom-poms, I like that they're removable. So I love the snap detail. And it just has little like areas to thread the yarn through, which I will have to, this will be my first time putting a snap on with yarn that's not the yarn I knit with because this yarn is too thick to get through those little holes.
Way too thick. Look at those little holes. Like that yarn is like a beast in comparison.
Yeah. So I'm excited to have this hat. This is another selfish knit for me.
And it's coming up to the time where you'll be wanting to wear hats.
Yep, so I've skeined it up. It is something I'm casting on this week. And then I have one more upcoming project. So this yarn is not all of that I have of the color, but this is Dancing Leaf Dye Works. Both skeins are in her colorway Petals. I bought this as a part of Maryland Sheep and Wool. This is the mohair base, and it's super floofy. And this is her fingering weight sock yarn. I'm making the Love Note by Tin Can Knits, and I'm very excited to cast that on. Everybody's knit that, literally everybody, and I can't wait to get one. So that will be my second sweater, actually. So
that is really awesome. So you have, I assume you have, the mohair, that actually might be enough mohair.
I have actually 3 more balls this size. Really? I don't really understand 100% how much mohair I'm going to use in the project. I looked at the yardage and just kind of bought what I thought would work. Yeah. So, and it's always and I don't remember because I bought this in May, so I don't remember how many yards I got. Yeah. But I did buy 3 whole skeins of the sock yarn. Yeah. And this is knit on like really big needles, I believe everybody's talked about. So it's at a looser gauge, and
so it's going to have a really nice drape.
Yeah, and it's going to be floofy, and mohair is a nice warm yarn. Mm-hmm. I love it. So I've had 1 hat in mohair.
Oh, yeah. Your mohair hat is so cute.
My mohair hat is super cute.
When it gets wintry, we'll be here not in t-shirts. We'll be here in sweaters and hats.
Yeah. So I'll be able to show those off. So
that sounds like they keep my house really cold. I don't.
Well, you will for podcasts, just to make it worth wearing the sweater, right?
Yeah, right. I'll just Sarah, animals, deal with it. It's cold in here now.
Freeze for a few hours. It's fine. So then I have a really exciting acquisition.
This was a very cute gift.
And I have more. I didn't share them all on Instagram. These guys. Look at those guys. All right, I gotta try to like turn them so you can see their faces. It is the Sanderson sisters. And this is by Sammy Sews Creations. And her little stitch markers, progress keepers, are freaking adorable. I love them. Yes. So I saw that she did that, and I put it on a wish list, actually. And my boyfriend was wonderful and bought these for me as a surprise. I'm not sure what motivated the purchase, because that's not like a normal thing that we do. I mean, like, usually our surprises are like, oh, I got you like a tea or coffee or something while I was out. It's not.
Yeah, I went on this trip and I brought you back some beef jerky, Jason.
Yeah, I usually do get him coffee, but or beef jerky or snacky chips or something. Nut mixes. Not and like he gets me, I don't know, little stuff, but not usually like knit accessories. So I'm really excited. Look at this narwhal.
Oh, yeah, the narwhal is your spirit animal the way the turkey is mine.
Oh, it's adorable. So I'm excited to use these.
It's a little horn.
So those are my upcoming project. Oh, I have one more, sorry. I lied. There's 4. This is really acquisitions, but it's an upcoming ongoing project. So this is just Cascade 220 worsted weight. And it is in the natural colorway.
I like Cascade.
Signed up.
This is the fucking Clydesdale of yarn, guys. Just, if we're going to pull that plow.
It's a workhorse yarn. I signed up. I actually joined the Knitters Guild Association. Mm-hmm. And I signed up for the basics knitting course. You would think with all the things I've shown you that I don't need the basics. But I wanted to start there because I've never actually taken a knitting class, and one of the things she teaches you is how to improving like edge work on designs, improving your increases and decreases, gauge. So
the nightmare that we live. Gauge.
Yeah, and I've done gauge swatches, and I've always tried to make my edges look nice. Some projects are better than others, but I just wanted to kind of get some finesse in my knitting, and that's really, a good word for it.
Yeah. Like, you know the stitches, but it's just finessing some of the techniques.
Yeah, and one of the things I love about this whole process is I've joined the class. I actually bought the class back in like May or June, and I've been waiting on this yarn to come. It took forever because I actually ordered the wrong stuff the first time, and then I got the right stuff, so mess. But in the meantime of all of that, I have watched the shared videos and read some blog posts that the teacher has put out there, and it's all public. So I've never heard people talk about Aranda Holiday, who is the teacher of this class. And I mean, she has a YouTube channel, she shows technique, and it is skillful technique. Like, listen, I've woven in ends on a bajillion projects. Whoa. But on Jason's scarf, I specifically watched, she has a weaving in ends video, which I'll link below, that is how to weave in ribbing, which, I mean, I've done it, but I haven't really followed a professional technique. And so now I feel...
just jam my ends in.
Yeah.
I jam them in.
Well, and like you can do that with some yarn, but not all yarn is forgiving. Like
not
this yarn would not be
not
forgiving.
All stitches will hide that. Not all that. Yeah. I'm bad about my ends.
So I just wanted to kind of get a more polished, finished object.
Yeah.
And so I signed up for her basics class. I may or may not take the tension taming one, depending on like feedback I get from this class. But then the next step is to actually take the professional knitting course that the Knitting Guild offers. And I really want to do that.
That's the Knitters Guild of America?
Mm-hmm.
That is really interesting. And now that you've talked about it, like, really kind of inspiring, because I know there's a Crocheters Guild of America, and talking about just jamming in my ends, which is what I do for everything, like regardless of color, stitch type, edging, I'm just like jam them in there, if they come out, we just jam them back.
Yeah,
like that is something
I have absolutely done that.
Yeah, and that, but to have a more polished thing, that is actually like, to have a more polished, finished project, to finesse what you already know. Never stop learning. That is like my dad, who has all flaws in the world. That is his motto, and it is a really, really good one, to just never stop improving.
Yeah.
And that makes me want to go see if the Crocheters Guild has something. So maybe we'll be doing classes together.
Yeah.
Different classes, but we'll be like, look, my little swatch I did.
Yeah. I'm excited.
Yeah, that would be super
So I
fun.
got the yarn this past week, so I'm going to cake that up and try to get started on some swatching. I have some of my needles were in use until I finished projects. So now that I've finished some things, I have the needles available to do the swatches.
In the last episode, I feel like you showed your 87 needles that you have.
But I only have 2 pairs of... you need... So to do the swatch...
you need the specific size and everything.
You actually... To do the swatch, the initial swatch. Now, I can't give away anything of the lesson, but to start off, what she does is you read your label, and it tells you to use a US size 7 through 8. So her directions to make your first swatch is use a 6, a 7, and an 8, one above and below your needle recommended size. So you're going to do 3 pieces of a swatch. You can do it all as one, you can do it separate, but I'm just going to do it all as one and just change and do like a purl row in between like it'll knit the swatch, purl to separate between sizes, and then you pick whatever gauge you're happy with the fabric that you got. And then you use those needles throughout the rest of the thing.
Oh, so she can tell how consistent you're being on everything.
Well, and it's sort of like to challenge you to figure out, like, why did you pick that? There's a question. So this course comes with, like, questions that you have to answer. And, like, the first lesson, the questions are not super challenging. Also, it's the basics course, so it's not hard. But I have watched a couple people on YouTube have done shared some stuff from a Master Hand Knitter course. And that, I mean, they ask you some tough stuff. And there's like a book report and everything, which I kind of love. The nerd in me loves that.
It's a real class. It's not just, we'll teach you some techniques. It's like, no.
Right.
You're going to learn something and think critically about your project.
Exactly. And I love that because I'm always looking to improve my knitting. I mean, I love what I make. Like, stuff like this is beautiful. But I really want to showcase professionalism as a knitter.
And if you're like me, like, everything I do when I'm like, oh crap, I've had to improvise this, or I've had to make this decision, or I've, screwed this area up, but I don't think anybody will notice.
Yeah, absolutely.
That eats at you for the rest of your
life.
Oh my
gosh.
Every time you put it on, you're like, do you see this 1-inch square right here? I hate this 1-inch square right here.
When I fumbled the provisional cast on for this, and you don't find out until the end when you go to pick up your stitches, and you're like, oh crap. That didn't come out the way I needed it to. I knit the whole scarf and I get to the end and I realize I screwed something up. And
I'm something up in the first 2 seconds.
Yeah. So I just used Aranda Holidays techniques to help me get nice finished edging on this and to do some of the end weavings and even the bind off. I looked at lots of her videos and have just been reading through some of her blog posts because she's like so really informative.
Yeah.
And I just want my knitting to look as professional as it possibly can.
And she said the weaving in ends is for
the
like that ribbing.
The ribbing technique that she uses, or the method that she shows you to use for when you're weaving in ends at the ribbing, she said is not like what she shows. She says it's never going to move. So I did it, and I'm going to test it out. Jason's scarf, I mean, he's going to wear it, and he's not gentle.
Guys usually aren't.
Yeah. He just like his knitted hat, he just grabs it and stuffs it in a pocket. Yeah. And I have to ask him, do you know where your hat is? Because I do, and he doesn't. That's like, it's like a test. Little test between us. So then I have one last acquisition.
Okay.
Again, working on polishing my knitting. I bought cast on bind off, and I did buy this through Amazon. Unfortunately, I couldn't find a store that was readily selling the books, a yarn store that was selling this particular book. But I wanted something that would give me, this has 54 different cast on bind offs, and the book is full of tips and tricks of how to use those, when you should use them for what kinds of projects, and how to make your ends, if you're trying to make like a scarf like I did, what tips you should use to make your cast on and bind off match.
That makes sense.
So it's a really nice tool.
It's just a little technique like tool.
Yeah, it's got this little binding here, and the pages are kind of like thicker, so it's really portable, which I like because I'm always on the go.
Yeah, you're the travel knitter, like extreme.
All my little travel bags now. Like, look at this.
Show them your other bag real quick.
Oh yeah.
Real fast. She found one more, but it's cute.
I had 2 bags from the yard sale. So this is from the same yard sale. This is a 31 bag someone was getting rid of. And it just has this spread your wings embroidery.
They stitched it in the exact same color as the bag. No wonder they were like, this one's maybe not this one.
Yeah.
But it was like, what, $15?
It was $10.
$10 and for something that's normally like $60, and you can fit 17 yarn projects in. Who cares about
this?
This
is a great blanket project bag. I mean, it is like,
yes, it is. Oh,
huge.
Hang on.
Oops.
Shut up. Go away.
So it
doesn't know we're recording a podcast.
It's huge, and both bags are really hefty. Love them, and I'm a thrifty person sometimes, and I like to find my thrifty stuff. So
very cool.
That is all of my acquisitions.
That is all of it. We made it through.
We did.
We will not be traveling. We have done the traveling for the summer, I think, in the last 3 weeks for some reason. And so our haul will probably shrink. But,
yes, significantly.
My budget needs the break.
Please.
So, but that's everything we had. And it sounds like we've got some fun upcoming projects and things to talk about and work on. So,
yeah.
We hope you guys stick around. And please, what do YouTubers say? Like, share, and subscribe, and all that good stuff.
All that fancy stuff, yeah.
But also, if you have any suggestions or things we could do to improve or things you want to talk about,
projects
please put them in the comments below, and
we'd love to talk about it.
Yeah, we love to talk about it and be part of this awesome community.
Yeah.
So, thank you very much.
Bye.